Pull up a chair. If this is your first time joining me at this table, go ahead and hit subscribe before we start, because I've got a lot more of these for you. Tonight's story is about a woman named Monica Hayes and a Tuesday evening beginner class and a stranger who described her own husband back to her without knowing it. Monica didn't drop the count. That's the part she remembers most clearly, even now. 8 beats into a rumba box step, a brand new student named Danielle laughed and said her boyfriend was terrible at this, that he had 2 left feet and a habit of counting out loud under his breath, the exact same nervous habit Monica's husband had carried since the very first dance lesson she ever gave him, 22 years earlier. Monica kept counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. She smiled the way she smiled at every student, and she did not, for 1 second, let her face show what her body already understood. Monica Hayes was 44 years old, and she had owned Hayes Ballroom Studio for 15 years, the kind of small business built entirely on watching people closely, reading tension in a pair of shoulders before a student ever said a word, catching the half-second where someone's weight shifted wrong before they even felt it themselves. She had built a career out of noticing what bodies gave away without permission. She was about to need every bit of that skill for something that had nothing to do with rumba and everything to do with her own marriage. She and Daniel had been married 16 years. He managed a small chain of auto repair shops 2 towns over, worked long hours most weeks, and had, for the last several months, been staying late on Tuesdays and Thursdays for what he called inventory nights, restocking parts before the weekend rush. Monica had never questioned it. Tuesdays and Thursdays were also, coincidentally, the 2 evenings her beginner class ran until 9. She had built her entire week around a business she loved, and it had simply never occurred to her to wonder whether her husband's schedule was quietly built around the same 2 nights for a different reason entirely. They didn't have children, a fact that had settled into something comfortable rather than painful over the years, and their life had taken on the specific rhythm of 2 people who had built parallel routines that rarely required checking in on each other's details. Daniel handled the shops. Monica handled the studio. They met most nights over a late dinner, tired in complimentary ways, and Monica had never once thought of the arrangement as distance. She had thought of it as trust. She didn't confront anyone that class, and if you've ever taught a room full of strangers for a living, you already understand exactly why she waited. She didn't stumble through the rest of the lesson, and she didn't corner Danielle in the parking lot. Instead, she did what 15 years of teaching had trained her to do without even deciding to. She watched. Over the following 2 weeks, she paid closer attention than any new student usually earned. Not obviously, just the ordinary attentiveness of a good instructor, and she let Danielle talk, the way beginners always do between combinations, filling silence with details about a life they don't yet know their teacher is quietly cataloging. Danielle mentioned a man who fixed her car for free at his shop. She mentioned a birthday trip to a lake house that Monica recognized instantly because she and Daniel owned that same lake house, and Daniel had told her he'd spent that particular weekend at a supplier conference 3 states away. She mentioned, laughing, a small habit her boyfriend had of humming the same 3 notes when he was nervous, a private, specific sound Monica had heard in her own kitchen for 16 years and never once thought to name out loud. By the 3rd week, Monica had started keeping a small notebook in her studio office, not for evidence exactly, more the way she'd track a student's progress, a habit too deeply built into her to turn off. She wrote down the lake house, the humming, a joke Danielle made about a dented truck tailgate that never got fixed because her boyfriend said it was bad luck to repair it, the same dent Monica had stared at in her own driveway 100 times. She wrote down the days Danielle mentioned seeing him and matched them, quietly, against Daniel's inventory nights on the calendar hanging in her own kitchen. Every single date lined up. She checked once, driving past his shop on a Tuesday. She wasn't supposed to be anywhere near it, and watched him lock up early, well before any inventory night should have ended, and drive in a direction that led nowhere near their house. She didn't follow him further. She didn't need to. Monica didn't ask a single leading question inside the studio. She simply let a stranger describe her own husband, one careless detail at a time, across 4 Tuesday classes, until there was nothing left to misunderstand. She waited until the 5th week, after class had ended, and the studio had emptied out, to ask Danielle to stay for a few minutes. She didn't raise her voice, and she didn't cry. "I think we should talk about your boyfriend," Monica said, and watched Danielle's easy smile falter at the tone, not the words. "I think his name is Daniel. I think he drives a gray truck with a dent in the tailgate he never fixed. I think he hums 3 notes when he's nervous, the same 3 notes I've heard for 16 years, because I'm his wife." Danielle went very still, the color leaving her face the way it does when a room a person thought was solid suddenly isn't. She hadn't known. That much became clear within the first minute, in the particular kind of shock that can't be performed. The same shock Monica had learned to recognize in a body faster than most people recognize it in a voice. Monica called Daniel that night, not to accuse him first, but to tell him plainly what she now knew, and to watch, one final time, how his own body answered before his words caught up to it. He didn't deny it well. He never does, Monica told me later, when someone hasn't had time to prepare a story. He talked about stress, about feeling unseen at home, the kind of explanation that tries to make a choice sound like something that simply happened to him. Monica listened to all of it once, calmly, the way she'd listen to a student explain away a mistake they already knew they'd made, and then she told him to pack a bag for the lake house, permanently, because she intended to keep the studio, the house in town, and every Tuesday and Thursday for herself from now on. The divorce moved quickly once Monica stopped waiting for an explanation that would ever be worth the 16 years it cost her. She hired her own lawyer, the kind who specialized in small businesses built during a marriage, and made sure the studio, entirely hers on paper from the day she opened it, stayed entirely hers on paper when it ended too. Daniel kept the lake house and the truck with the dent he still hadn't fixed. He tried, twice, to reach out to Monica through mutual friends in the months afterward, framing what happened as a mistake rather than a pattern. But Monica had spent 15 years learning the difference between a single misstep and a body that had been rehearsing the same lie for months, and she didn't confuse the two now. Monica kept the studio and the house, and eventually, quietly, she kept Danielle too, in a way neither of them expected. Danielle stayed in the beginner class, mortified at first, certain she'd be asked to leave, until Monica told her plainly, in the same calm voice she used to correct a student's frame, that none of what happened had been Danielle's fault, and that the door stayed open if she wanted it to. Danielle kept coming, awkward at first, then steady, the way most beginners eventually become steady. 2 years later, she teaches the same Tuesday beginner class herself, 1 night a week, and Monica says watching her lead a room full of nervous strangers through their very first box step is its own strange, complicated kind of justice. The 16 years rearranged into something that finally makes sense. Monica told me once that the strangest part wasn't the anger, either. It was realizing how many small, true things a body will tell you, completely by accident, long before a person ever decides to tell you the truth on purpose. So tell me, whoever's listening tonight, do you think Danielle deserved the anger she was so sure was coming? Or do you think Monica already understood, better than anyone, exactly whose fault it actually was? I'd genuinely love to know what you think, so drop it in the comments below. And if this story pulled you in, give it a like so I know to keep bringing you more like it. Pull up a chair again next week, and I'll tell you another one. Until then, take care of yourselves and take care of each other.